Oh man, so far so good. All right on. Today I'm going to give you a little demonstration on how I make my lithographs for my mixed media pieces. They're actually handmade paper lithographs. I have a super small studio and I don't really have the equipment to make the, traditional cooler multicolored lithographs. So I make black and white ones using paper as plates, and I'm going to show you how I do that. Some people call it paper lithography. It's also referred to as gum Arabic transfers. And basically I take my drawings and digitize them. Most people now have printers that are like 3-in-1 copier, scanner printers. And I have one of those as well. So sometimes it's a little bit of a pain in the ass to digitize my drawings on that little tiny scanner. But that's what I do. And then I put it in Photoshop and add some text and, play a little bit with some graphic design. And then I go to the printers and get some copies made. So it has to be done. Your copies have to be done on a office type copier. It has to be a toner based machine, otherwise it won't work. Inkjet just isn't, it's not about the inkjet, man. It's all about the toner, trust me. First of all, this is the stuff that you're gonna need. Well, the stuff that I use anyway. I like to do it on a big piece of plexiglass. It's just like the easiest way to do it without making a huge mess. And you're gonna need some gum Arabic and some water, some sponges that are nice and fine so that you don't scratch up the image, and a couple of brushes. It depends on what kind of image you want. I like to use softer brushes so that I don't scratch up the ink on the paper plates. But I tend to like to use these softer ones. You'll need a little spray bottle, to wet your plate, and a couple of brayers, a squeegee, something to roll your ink out on. Now, to do these gum Arabic transfers, you need an oil-based ink. In a pinch, you can use the Speedball oil-based ink. It is... it's all ready to go, man. So you just squirt it out, give it a roll, and you don't have to do anything else to it. But, for more of my involved pieces and, a little more cost effective, you can get you a big old can of black etching ink and some plate oil to improve the viscosity and get it to where you need it to be. So there's a couple of ways that you can do it, but the bottom line is oil-based ink. Trust me when I tell you that. This is one of the plates that we're gonna try. It's my Shakespeare Rebellion digitized, and I put the text in it with Photoshop. Right now I'm gonna use a piece of Bristol board, and I have this piece of plexiglass underneath of it. It gives it some support for when you're rolling it out. And I like to roll mine out with these hard brayers. Some people, you can find videos out there where people are using a wooden spoon or their hands, there's all kinds of stuff you can do. But for my pieces that go on my mixed media work, I like to use the hard rubber brayer. I like to use newsprint. It's a nice big area for me to clean my stuff off in between, swipes of the ink. And yeah, man, but you can use an old phone book if you want. It's not gonna hurt anything. So yeah, man, let's get started. So one of the first things that I like to do is I like to get my ink ready. And you just kind of want to get, nice coverage. I like to get like a good amount on there because the first couple of swipes of your brayer, you know, you're going to be rolling it onto a wet piece of paper with that gum arabic binding agent on it. So I like to get my brayer ready. That's like the first thing I like to do. And I have my gum arabic in 2 different bottles. Like, it just makes it easier for me. I buy it in bulk. So you want to get a nice bottom. So the gum arabic, like what that does, that's like your binding agent. And this whole process is kind of based on the idea that oil and water don't mix. And if you do it right, which for me personally took a lot of trial and error, you'll see how the oil and the water do not mix. So then what I want to do is I want to take my copy that I picked up from the printers, and this is actually your plate for printing. And some people like to put it in a pan of water. For me, it's just easier to spray it down. I have more control over it. It's less messy. So when I roll them out, I like mine to be like, I don't like any bubbles at all, because bubbles cause a problem when I go to start inking it. So I like mine rolled out nice and tight, which is why I use this soft rubber brayer to roll it out. And then I like to clean it off. Because when you clean off the stuff, it just makes it so much easier when you go to do the next one. And then I take my other bottle and kind of put a good amount on there. The reason that I do that is because the paintbrush, the bigger one, it's just easier to put a large area of gum arabic down. So after I get a nice first layer, you take your sponge, and you want a fine sponge, like I said in the beginning, so that you don't, like, you know, scratch it up. And you want to get a good amount of water on there. And then you got to kind of clean it up. And, you know, you don't push down very hard because you're working with paper, and you don't want it to friggin' pill up and break apart. All right, so the third time, this is like the last time I go to wash it. And I like to make sure that I get as much of the water up as possible. Just because, you know, inking it is such a freaking process. So now we're gonna ink it. You just roll it on. And basically, like, what's happening is that the oil and the water, because they don't go together, the gum arabic is acting like it's a binding agent. And what it's doing, it's repelling the water. Like, once the oil based ink hits it, the water's being repelled off the image, and the ink is only sticking to the image. So after I take it through that first couple of times, I like to clean my brayer off before I put more ink on it. That's why I have this handy dandy station over here. Like I said, it just makes it easier, you know. I don't have any problems with the ink because I don't have a bunch of water and gum arabic all over my brayer. So the inking process, man, for me, it takes typically, like, I mean, I don't know about how many minutes or how many times. I usually listen to music the whole time that I'm working. And I usually stand here and ink these suckers for about 3 songs. Sometimes 4 if I really like the songs and I don't want to stop singing along. And when you're inking, at least when I'm inking these, you can really kind of get a feel for when they're about ready to get pressed. You could actually see the ink on the image, but you feel it with your brayer too. And when you're going across it, you could actually hear the ink sticking to the image. So if you were gonna, frame this like some of them that I leave just as prints, I'll take a sponge and clean off like the parts of ink that I don't want, to be there. Like you could just like kind of wipe that stuff off if you wanted to. But this guy, he's going to be used in one of my mixed media pieces, so he's going to get trimmed. So I don't really have to clean him up too much. So now I'm going to roll him out. I actually have another brayer. It's a little bit bigger that I like to use, but it broke. So this one's loud and squeaky. But it's what I got today. So, and and then you got to put some ass into it. If you want a really good, like I said, man, I've seen people do this with like wooden spoons and shit, but so hopefully if I did a good job, it came out cool. Oh man, so far so good. All right on. So there you go. So this guy turned out like pretty good, man. He's gonna go on something. But you could see the lighter spots. And that's what I like about these handmade prints, is that, that's why no two can be exactly alike. Like if you did it on a digital machine. Yeah, he came out good. I really like this one. So we're gonna hang him up. So yeah, thank you so much for watching my video about how I make my prints for my mixed media pieces. I just thought it was important for you to have a look at how they're done, because we're going to talk about, I know there's a group of 4, and there's like maybe 2 or 3 more that are at the gallery at Artworks in Richmond. And those are the pieces that I'm promoting right now. So you can click the links in the description below to check them out. And yeah, so we're gonna do a couple of videos on the mixed media and the prints next. So thanks a lot, man. Keep on keeping on. Stay tuned.